Can you hear me, Rick? It's having trouble connecting. And we're live on the Stables Network. Take it away.
Welcome to Zoom. Please press 1 to join the meeting. This meeting is being recorded.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello, Rick?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah. And so we're already rolling. So
Okay. You ready?
yes. And we're
Okay.
live on Stables Network. Take it away, Rick.
All right. Hey, guys. How are you? Sorry for the late start. I'm Rick Curti, the host of the Charlotte Bats podcast and more. Sorry if we had a little slight delay, but we're here. So hope everyone's being safe out there, washing your hands, keeping distance from people. Of course, what's going on right now, of course, there's no baseball, there's no sports, really not much going on right now, unfortunately, because we're shut down. But once in a while, I like to go on a little rant sometimes, and I think it's always good to go on a rant sometimes. And there are things that I don't understand what's going on in baseball. One of them is the Baseball Hall of Fame. Sometimes, when you hear someone go to the Hall of Fame, you want to scratch your head or be like, how did this guy ever get in? Or like, he was a good player, but I don't know about a Hall of Fame player. This year, last year they actually got it right. I mean, of course, Derek Jeter is going to be in the Hall of Fame. No issues with that. Larry Walker, no issues with that. It's kind of like I don't know, but you look at his numbers, and his numbers are very strong, so that's a good thing. So really, no issues with me there. I know people were upset that Jeter wasn't in the Hall of Fame unanimously, and got in what was it 99.5, 99.6. So people were so angry about that. But one person that I just don't understand why he's not in the Hall of Fame, and I've been saying this for quite a while, and you never hear his name, is Fred McGriff. How in the world is Fred McGriff not in the Hall of Fame? Look at his numbers; they're better than most people in the Hall of Fame. He has the same amount of home runs that Luke Gehrig has at 493, just missed 500. And here are his stats. Okay, he had 493 home runs. He was tied with Lou Gehrig, so he just missed 500. He had a 284 batting average. Okay, he had over 1,500 RBIs, exactly 1,550 RBIs. He was a 5-time All-Star. He led both the American and National League in home runs. So, in '89, he led the Blue Jays in home runs, and in '92, he led the Padres in home runs. So he was actually one of the first players to actually win a home run title in both leagues. He had 2,490 career hits. He was a 3-time Silver Slugger. He had 7 straight years of 30 home runs. And back then, hitting 30 home runs was like hitting 40 home runs. Okay? If you hit 35 home runs in one season, you would lead the league. So, it was from 1988 to 1994. He had 7 straight years of 30 or more home runs. And the year he didn't have 30 home runs was in '95. He actually had 25, and that was in a season where it was a short year because of the strike. And he also won 3 Gold Gloves. And a lot of people say, yeah, but winning a World Series matters. Well, it does, because he actually won a World Series in 1995 with the Atlanta Braves. So those are his numbers. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? I have no idea. They said he's a strong candidate to be in, but he probably won't get in. Nobody knows why he won't get in. As far as I know, I never heard of Fred McGriff, any writers hating Fred McGriff. I never heard him getting any problems with baseball. You never heard him getting in trouble with the law, or he had a squeaky clean image. Maybe because he was always underrated to me. He was always underrated as a player, always underrated as a fielder. He was always underrated. And so that's one thing I can't understand, why Fred McGriff, the crime dog, is not in the Hall of Fame. And you never hear his name mentioned. You always hear about these idiots like Barry Bonds, and we have to hear about Roger Clemens not getting in, or Sammy Sosa, or Alex Rodriguez. They're never going to get in. They're a bunch of cheaters. They should never get in. They shouldn't even have the Astros get in there, like Altuve. If he continues being a great player, he shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned for what he did with the Astros, the rest of the Astros. They're no better than the 1919 Chicago Black Sox. So I just can't understand how Fred McGriff is not in the Hall of Fame. Maybe I'm crazy, but 493 home runs, 1,500 RBIs, a 5-time All-Star, 2-time home run king, 2,400 hits, 7 straight years of 30 home runs, won a World Series in 1995, 3-time Gold Glove winner, 3-time Silver Slugger. Why is he not in the Hall of Fame? So anybody can answer that question for me, or tell me I'm stupid, or I'm wrong, or he's not even close to being a Hall of Famer. Just email me, cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm at the Stables Network. cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com is my personal email. Let me know why you think Fred McGriff should not be in the Hall of Fame, or am I right on with it? And he deserves to be in. Why is he ignored? I have no clue. And, there's a slew of players that I can list that to me are not Hall of Famers or were really great players or very good players that are not in the Hall of Fame, that are in the Hall of Fame, and just for some reason can't understand it. Like Harold Baines is a great player. Is he a Hall of Famer? I mean, it's like when I heard he got in the Hall of Fame, I was stunned.
Network.
Okay.
CMTBatsBaseball@gmail.com is my personal email.
I was stunned that he was in the Hall of Fame, and it was just like I said, he's a good player. He's a solid player. I mostly remember him as a DH. How did he get in? I mean, his numbers are pretty similar to Fred McGriff. Fred McGriff hit more home runs than him. You know, Baines did have a little higher batting average, did have a little bit more RBIs, but I mean, his numbers are, Fred McGriff's numbers were better, and he, to me, he was a better all-around baseball player than Harold Baines. How in the world did Harold Baines get in? No offense to him. He is not a Hall of Famer by any stretch. Bud Selig, now that is one that I just scratched my head. How in the world is Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame? What did he do in baseball that made him deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? He knew about the steroids. He turned a blind eye to it. He didn't care because baseball was trying to make a comeback because in '94 when the World Series was canceled, nobody went to the games. They boycotted baseball. The attendance, the ticket sales, fans just stopped coming to the game, and they never captured the people again. And then, of course, when McGuire and Sosa went on the historic run, which, of course, we all know they cheated, you know, but they went on the historic run, and McGuire broke Roger Maris's record of 61 home runs, and ended up with 70. And then, of course, Barry Bonds, you know, got jealous and started to juice up like the rest of them. And he broke the record. And, of course, unfortunately, very fraudulently, he's now the home run king. I don't call him the home run king. To me, it's still Hank Aaron. But that's my opinion. But I just, you know, they're cheaters. Okay. But they did bring back baseball. You know, people were happy to see baseball again. They knew about it. The owners knew about it. The managers, I don't care what they say. I mean, I'm sorry. I know you knew that McGuire was juicing up Tony La Russa. I know you knew that, just like the Bash brothers were. But Selig knew about all this. He turned a blind eye because he didn't care because they were making money.
Hey, everybody.
And the ratings were doing great. So I just can't understand why in the world Bud Selig's in the Hall of Fame. So if you have any questions about that, if you think I'm crazy about Bud Selig being in the Hall of Fame, you can always email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm Rick Curti at the Stables Network. We're Charlotte Bats Podcast and more. And so that's what I wanted to talk about today is why in the world is Fred McGriff, the crime dog, not in the Hall of Fame? And you have other players that are in, like Alan Trammell. Alan Trammell, great player. You know, it's kind of like, you know, should he be in the Hall of Fame? Should he not? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer. But if you're going to put Alan Trammell in the Hall of Fame, why isn't sweet Lou Whitaker in the Hall of Fame? That's what I don't understand. They were one of the most popular, most.
Hi, everybody. We got about 14 minutes.
Most
How
double play
How
duo
is everybody today?
in history. So,
Oh, very well. Doing very well. Yeah.
Hello? So I'm just trying to figure out why Lou Whitaker is not in the Hall of Fame. You know, his numbers are similar. If you're going to put Alan Trammell in, you got to put Lou Whitaker in the Hall of Fame because without those two,
Sounds
they
like you're
wouldn't be
about in
successful.
between.
So, hello? So I'm just trying to figure out, like, again, why Fred McGriff's not in the Hall of Fame. And, you know, like I said, Bud
That's one thing I
Selig,
wish Zoom would let me do is control each person's volume. I've put that in as a request. But,
hello?
No, it shouldn't be a problem, actually.
Hey, Breck. Hello?
It does actually do a pretty good job. I've noticed when it breaks up in the meeting, when I re-listen to it, there's no breakup at all.
Hello?
Because what it is your voice goes to their server, my voice goes to their server, and then back to us. So it's a pretty clean feed straight into their servers. Which is
So
nice.
anybody have any questions or any comments or anything like that, you can always email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Yeah, everything's done. Because even if I get knocked off, the stream will still continue, which is great.
So that's
Email?
my opinion on that.
I'm getting ready to. We'll probably work on that next week, and you can just log in regularly, and then because I want to make sure that people outside forces aren't getting into meetings, because I've been going on and people have been logged in the middle of the morning or something, like from India. I've gotten videos from India and all kinds of places.
So anybody have any comments? So anybody have any comments or questions about what I have to say? It's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. And I like to know from people why Fred McGriff is not in the Hall of Fame. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? Should he be in the Hall of Fame? Another case that I always hear about is Dale Murphy. Now, Dale Murphy, I love Dale Murphy. He's a great player. I used to watch the Braves play all the time on TBS when they were terrible, and the Landfill County Stadium was like 13,000 maybe on a good day. Poor guy never saw the success of the Braves. And to me, I mean, I met the guy. He's a great guy. He's everything you want him to be on there. He's a nice guy. He's just good to his fans. He's a great guy. He's a great baseball player. But I don't know if he should be in the Hall of Fame. He didn't have 400 home runs. His batting average was fine. I mean, he did win the MVP twice. One of the best right fielders ever. Great arm, great player, great everything. But, I don't believe he should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a great player. But with the criteria that they have now, I mean, why not put him in there? Why not? But I always wrestle with that because I like Dale Murphy a lot, but I just look at his numbers and it's like, I don't know about that, but the one that just always sticks out to me, and I always tell people, why is Fred McGriff not in the Hall of Fame? Like, what did he do to make writers mad at him or the people voting for the Hall of Fame? Because he was always under the radar and he just wasn't a flashy guy, which is ridiculous. I mean, the guy, you never heard any issues with him. It should be about your numbers. It shouldn't be about whether they like you or hate you. I mean, there's a lot of baseball players that we have in the Hall of Fame that were complete jerks. I mean, look at Ty Cobb. He was the biggest arrogant jerk that ever played Major League Baseball. He was horrid, just a horrid player, but his numbers were there. Of course, he's to me, the best baseball player that ever lived all around. Eddie Murray was not good to the reporters. A lot of reporters didn't like him. I bet people who went to games that were Eddie Murray was not very popular with fans. He just was not very friendly with fans. He's in the Hall of Fame because his numbers are great. I mean, there's a lot of baseball players that are in there that are not the nicest people in the world, but it's not the Hall of Nice People. It's the Hall of Fame, and it should be about your numbers. So, like I said, why he's not on the Hall of Fame is beyond me. You never hear about it. You never hear him complain. That's probably one of the reasons. That's just how he is. He's just, I think he's just grateful what he accomplished. I think he's grateful that he played in the league so long. He did well, and I guess maybe he feels more vocal about it. Maybe he'd get in. But, he's a very quiet guy, just like he was in baseball, just a very quiet, unassuming guy. And maybe he probably doesn't care. Like, if I get in, great. If I don't, I don't. But, like I said, I mean, he had the same amount of home runs as Lou Gehrig. Lou Gehrig's, of course, a Hall of Famer. One of the best first basemen, one of the best players, one of the greatest Yankees ever with him and Babe Ruth, probably the greatest duo ever. Those two guys should be in the Hall. Of course, you should be in the Hall of Fame. But like I said, Fred McGriff, again, not in the Hall of Fame, and you never hear about it. Maybe the veterans can vote him in, but I never hear about anyone petitioning to get him in the Hall of Fame. Maybe I need to start at change.org. Put Fred McGriff in the Hall of Fame, and how many signatures would I get? And probably people would be like, oh, he was a good player, but if they looked at his numbers, they'd be like, wow, he did all that. Well, yeah, I said, that's better than most people in the Hall of Fame. Yeah, and he actually won a World Series in 1995 with the Braves. So it can't be always people want to look at how many championships they won. And Alan Trammell, Alan Trammell won, but Harold Baines didn't win anything. He didn't win a World Series championship. A lot of players didn't win. I mean, look, Bud Selig, he wasn't the greatest owner in the world. He clearly wasn't the greatest commissioner in the world. He was a terrible commissioner as far as I'm concerned. I mean, he turned a blind eye to steroids, and he knew about it. And now he wants to go around and stand on his little, stand and claim, hey, look what I did. I made the toughest, strictest drug policy in sports. And I'm like, no, you didn't. It was Congress that did that because they were going to clean it up for you. Remember that whole craziness when Congress called him in and Sammy Sosa forgot to speak English? Mark McGuire was terrible up there, just not answering questions. And then you have Rafael Palmeiro. How can you forget that, waving his finger in the camera and saying, I have never taken steroids, and yet it was 2 weeks later got popped for steroids. Bud Selig was horrible. I mean, Congress said, if you don't clean it up, we will. And that's when he decided, let's put this steroid policy in, and that will help. Well, it wasn't because he wanted to do it, because he was forced to do it. So, like I said, I don't know why he's in the Hall of Fame. To me, he's not a Hall of Famer. Put Peter Ueberroth in, put him, Paul Tech, any of them, put Faye Vincent in, if you want to go that way, even though he was ousted and kicked out, So, Bud Selig in the Hall of Fame, I don't know about that. I have an issue with that. Harold Baines, I said he's a great player, but to me, he's not a Hall of Famer. I mean, you have players like Burt Blyleven. I mean, his numbers are there, but I think it's more because of longevity than anything else. He really wasn't the most dominant pitcher. He was great. He was a very good pitcher. He was a great pitcher, but he didn't have 300 wins. He didn't win the Cy Young. I don't know. That's just me. I just think that the Hall of Fame has recently become the Hall of Very Good. And it's unfortunate. It's sad, and then you got players like Fred McGriff, again, 493 home runs, 284 batting average, 1,500 RBIs, a 5-time All-Star. 89 was a home run, led the league in home runs with the Blue Jays, 92 with the Padres. That's when everyone was all excited to see Gary Sheffield possibly win a Triple Crown. He didn't do it. He had over 2,400 career hits. 7 straight years of 30 home runs. I mean, in today's world, even in the very inflated era that we play that in baseball, where hitting 50 home runs is like no big deal. I mean, having 7 straight years of 30 home runs, I think in today's baseball is impressive. From 88 to 94, he hit seven straight years of 30 or more home runs. And the 1 year in 95, he only had 25 because it was a short season. That's pretty good. He won a Gold Glove 3 times. No scandals, no problem. Never heard any teammates say anything bad about him. Never heard one negative thing about him, which is, to me, even more impressive getting in the Hall of Fame because and this was before social media and all that stuff. But I mean, just to not have anybody say anything bad about you or no scandal. He was never implicated in steroids. He was never implicated in cheating. He never got into fights with his own teammates. We all saw who saw that Michael Jordan documentary. He fought with everybody. He seemed like in his own team. I think didn't like break one of his teammates' nose. It's kind of crazy, but I just don't understand why the Crime Dog's not in the Hall of Fame. I love the Crime Dog. He was one of my favorite players growing up. To me, he was like, this guy's going to go Hall of Fame. And years later, he's been retired for a long time. Why he's not in the Hall of Fame is beyond me. Maybe he'll be like Larry Walker and get in his last year. I don't know. Larry Walker's been trying to get in for years and years. I was always one of those that was like, he was a great player. But as I look at his numbers now, yeah, put him in. I have no problem with it. People wanted to criticize him because he was in Colorado for all those years with the ball getting, with all that air in there, with all the altitude helping the ball jump out of the stadium. Hey, it wasn't his fault. He did the best he can do there. He went there. They were great with Galarraga, Bichette, Vinny Castilla. And he had a great career, but I always remember him as an Expo, and he was great with the Expos and in Montreal. And how can we forget about them pretty much getting robbed in '94? To me, that was going to be one of the greatest years in baseball. You had the Expos who looked like they were going to go to the World Series. Of course, the Yankees looked like they were going to get in. Jeff Bagwell was on pace to break Hack Wilson's record of 191 RBIs. Tony Gwynn was close to hitting 400, which I would love to see someone hit 400. I don't think that's going to happen in my lifetime. Maybe years and years later after I'm dead, maybe someone will hit 400. But you don't see players want to hit for average no more. It's all home runs, and it's all how far I hit the home runs. And, pretty much we live in a selfish society where people just want to concentrate on their stats and how many home runs did I hit and how many RBIs and how many hits and blah, blah, blah. And, people hit 50 home runs, but yet they're on a last place team and they're happy to hit 50 home runs. I mean, it's crazy how things have changed now, but I guess that's how I view it. So, but yeah, I think Tony Gwynn ended up with a 393 batting average. It's like one of the highest batting averages since, I can't remember how long. I think Rock Carew hit 388 one year in the 70s, and so I think he would have done it. He was one of the greatest hitters of all time. That was going to be a great baseball season, and of course, we're never going to know because they had the strike. And how can we forget Terry Pendleton going on television and saying he only makes $6 million and it's a travesty, and it's ridiculous. What people are struggling, what people are still struggling today, and to see a baseball player go on TV and say he's only making $6 million a year is really ridiculous. It's a joke, and it's like, yeah, we don't feel sorry for you. So that's why they lost all their fans. And, of course, McGuire and Sosa went on that epic home run chase, which, of course, we all know they cheated. I was happy to see it, but, I was in denial about it because I'm like, man, these guys look really big. And I hope they're not doing drugs. But, unfortunately, yep, they were cheating. And to me, it's just doesn't mean anything to me because you cheated. So, but like I said, Fred McGriff, never involved in any steroids. You never hear about him. Just a good guy, great baseball player, played the game right, played it hard, got along with all his teammates. You never heard him complain. You never heard him wanting to sit out. He went from the American League to the National League, which is very difficult because to me, both leagues are different. And, he was great with the Blue Jays. He was great with the Padres. Of course, he was great with the Braves. When they went on that historic second half run, and I think he had 37 home runs, which was a career high for him. So he had great years with the Atlanta Braves as well. So Fred McGriff, Tampa Bay resident, why you're not in the Hall of Fame is beyond me. And hopefully maybe me going around and me talking about him not being in the Hall of Fame and researching his numbers. I mean, I already knew he should be in the Hall of Fame. Now I know for sure he should be in the Hall of Fame doing all this research on his numbers and all that stuff. So anybody have any comments or any questions, or you think I'm crazy and or you think that somebody else should be in the Hall of Fame? You know, and please don't mention Bonds and McGuire and Sosa. I don't want to hear about those cheaters. Just email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com about Fred McGriff, why he should be in the Hall of Fame, and maybe I'll start a change.org petition to get him in, because for the life of me, I have no idea what's going on. So, as we all know, no sports on right now. We all know what's going on in our not only in our country but all over the world with this horrific, paralyzing pandemic that we're having. I'm in North Carolina. I live in Charlotte, and things here, I'm like everybody else. We're under lockdown. They're thinking about opening some beaches up, maybe opening some things up little by little. We don't know yet. Things haven't really changed here. They haven't got any worse, but they really haven't got any better. And we'll see what happens. You know, so everyone out there tuning in, just stay safe. You know, just wash your hands. Just use common sense. Don't get into big crowds. That's how this disease likes to get spread. And when there's a big cluster of people in one spot, it seizes on that, and we need to not do that. I know it sucks because I miss going to movie theaters. I definitely miss going to baseball games. I'd be at a Knights game right now, or I'd be somewhere in North Carolina watching a baseball game right now if I could. So just something I've never experienced in my life. Of no sports. It actually reminds me of the '94 season when there was no baseball and they canceled the World Series. Hockey was on strike. They started late. Basketball started late. They were on strike. Eventually they got that resolved, but never anything like this where people just have no idea when this is going to end. Are we going to have sports? I'm hearing in Los Angeles they might not have sports till 2021. Which is a possibility for all of them. I think the baseball season is going to be canceled. I think this whole realignment that they're going to do, having them play at spring training facilities and having them play in Arizona and having them play in Florida, I just think it's dumb. I just don't think the fans are going to like it. To me, it's just going to look like spring training baseball. I know they want to get a season. I know they got to make money. I know we got to get this economy going, which is losing billions and billions of dollars each year or each day, but I just don't see it happening. And I think when things are clear, I don't think fans are going to go. I mean, I just don't think it makes any sense to have any type of sporting event with no fans there. It just makes no sense because you're losing money there in ticket sales. And then you're going to get people in one spot. Like right here in Charlotte, they want to open up the racetrack because we got a big event coming up on May 24th, which is my birthday. And so they want to open up the racetrack out here, and they're trying to pressure the governor to do it, and the governor's trying to talk to them. Is it going to happen? I doubt it, because they're going to say, well, we're going to have it with no fans. But yet, what about all those race car drivers? They're going to be in a big cluster all together. They're going to be, together, elbow to elbow. So, I mean, you're going to get them exposed as well, because this, like I said, this virus is attracted to big clusters of people around, and it just makes no sense. So I think that's going to be canceled. I think generally it's going to be all canceled, and we're not going to have anything till 2021. Maybe some kind of alternative, maybe they can live stream something, or I don't know, but it's just going to be very, very difficult to have a baseball season. I get the no fans, but what about all the players? What about the first baseman, second baseman? That's like right away you got 10 players on the field right now, plus the opposing team are going to have runners on base, and you're going to have people sliding into each other, and I think some of these baseball players are going to be really, really careful. I think they're going to be kind of cautious and say, hey, I'm not comfortable standing first base with this guy. I'm not comfortable sliding to second base with this guy, or stealing third, or doing or arguing balls and strikes with an umpire, in my face. I think players are going to be cautious, and I think there are going to be a lot of players who are going to say, I don't want to play. I don't care how much money I make. I don't want to play because I don't want to. I have a family, and I don't want to risk getting exposed to this thing, getting contagious to this thing, spreading this thing, bringing it to my family, and then they put it to the. I mean, it's just, this thing is so crazy. So I mean, I just think it'd be foolish for MLB to have a season, and I just don't think this whole crazy realignment that they want to do and having all these games at these spring training facilities are going to work. I just don't see it happening. I think basketball season's done. They said August maybe, but I think the season's done. Right now the playoffs would have started already. I just don't see it happening. Hockey's done. I think there's not going to be any sports, and we're going to have to wait till next year, which is, as horrific as that sounds, to me that looks more like to be more realistic than anything else, instead of playing in empty stadiums. So any comments about that? You can always, I'm at the Staples Network, this Charlotte Bats Podcast and More. I'm your host, Rick Curti of the Charlotte Bats Podcast and More. You can always email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. And if you think I'm wrong, or you agree with me, or, it doesn't matter. I listen to everybody, whether you agree, disagree, whether you like me, you hate me. I'm just giving you my opinion. I'm not right. I'm not wrong. This is just my opinion. Just like I hear people tell me all the time, Bond should get in the Hall of Fame, or McGuire or Clemens should be in the Hall of Fame, even though I would strongly disagree with you. That's cool, man, because that's your opinion. But if you have any questions or comments, cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm your host, Rick Curti of the Charlotte Bats Podcast and More. I'm at the Staples Network. Thank you to Breck Smith for everything he does, producing this show, putting it on the internet, Facebook, all the social media places. He's awesome. He's the best. So we wouldn't be having a show without him. So thank you, Breck, for everything you do. Thank you to Mark Mancini for everything he does. Thank you for giving me this opportunity to come on here and just pretty much talk about what I love. And I love sports, and I just can't even imagine a year without any sports. It's just, it stinks. Like I said, I was all into the XFL. I've been talking about this league for 2 years. I've been very, very down on the NFL. I just don't like the game. It's just really long and it's boring, and I think it's so watered down right now. I hate the officiating. I'm not happy with Roger Goodell. I'm not happy with a lot of things that go on in the NFL. I don't like how they address domestic violence. I don't like how they just completely ignore all that. They don't hold any players accountable. And you always hear Roger Goodell saying, well, it's not up to me, it's up to the owners. No, you're the commissioner. It's up to you. If you want to suspend someone indefinitely, you can do whatever you want. You're the judge, jury, and executioner. You have more power than any commissioner in sports. Every other sport has a board that they talk to, and there's no board there, and there's a reason why Roger Goodell is not very well liked. He's not very popular. He's been he lies a lot, and people don't trust him. And him and DeMaurice Smith have a horrific relationship. They really do not like each other at all. And yet in other sports, you hear all the other unions getting along really very well. Adam Silver gets along with his. I haven't heard any issues with Rob Manfred and Tony Clark. Sometimes, they might butt heads, but they don't have this contentious relationship that DeMaurice Smith and Roger Goodell have. And I was very, very excited to see another spring professional football league happening. A lot of people told me it wasn't going to last. Look at what happened to the Alliance. This XFL didn't last in 2001. It's not going to last now. And I just kept telling people they were wrong. To me, they were still wrong because the ratings were good. They're doing over 1 million people. They have bigger ratings than the NBA. than the MLS, than the PGA games. The Rays were solid. And of course, we all know what happened. So to me, the league wasn't a failure. It was a success. But of course, this pandemic just absolutely wiped it out. And of course, we all know now the season it's not coming back. He's already filed for bankruptcy. He's already going to sell it off. There's probably going to be some type of auction that they're going to have, and probably they might start another. I mean, I keep hearing all these other leagues that might start. I just think it's way too soon. And I think you got to give it time, because right now people really like the XFL. They love the rules. I love the kickoffs. The games were so much quicker. It was better. I love when they talk to the players on the sidelines after a play. I mean, that'd be something cool to see the NFL do that, right? Imagine if Tom Brady throws a touchdown and right away the reporter goes in the sidelines and say, "How was your touchdown?" And he can talk. They won't do that. Like I said, it's the no fun league. So I would like to see that. I would like to see them adapt some kind of rule, make the game quicker. Even when the XFL got some of the officiating wrong, they owned up to it. They didn't hide. They went up and they owned up to it. They said, "We made a mistake. We apologize." And wouldn't it be nice if the NFL did something like that instead of Roger Goodell being, the invisible man for 2 weeks? Remember when the Saints got absolutely hosed a couple seasons ago? When it was totally, it was a flag like crazy. The guy was all over him. The guy from the Saints couldn't catch the ball. And, of course, we all know that the LA Lambs, to me, they're always going to be the LA Lambs, went to the Super Bowl and stunk it up. And it was one of the worst Super Bowls ever, And, it should have been the Saints. Drew Brees and Tom Brady should have been in the Super Bowl. That would have been a great Super Bowl. It would have been a high-rated Super Bowl. It would have been a great game, and because the officiating screwed it up, we had to see Jared Goff. Jared Goff, who got all this money, all this guaranteed money, and now the Rams look like fools because he is totally just disappeared. He had that one great year. I didn't think he'd be a franchise quarterback, and McVay just turned him into a really great quarterback and got him a lot of money, and now he's just okay. He's decent. Of course, we all know Gurley's gone. He's now with the Falcons. I don't think his career will be resurrected there. I think he's done. It's unfortunate. He was such a great player in college, and he was for a short period of time. He was a great running back in the NFL. They said he was the best, and I don't know what happened with Gurley. He looks like an old man now, and it's unfortunate. Now he's in Atlanta. Don't think he's going to do anything there, or I just don't see him succeeding there. But he's back in his home state of Georgia, where he played with the Georgia Bulldogs, so maybe that'll help him. But I just don't see anything happening with Gurley in Atlanta. I just don't think he's gonna be a Marcus Allen and go to another team and just burn it up and tell the owners and tell the head coach, "See, you should have given up on me." I just don't see that happening with Gurley. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, if you have any issues or you don't agree with my opinion or anything like that, you can always contact me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. My name is Rick Curti. I'm the host of Charlotte Bats Podcast and more. I'm at the Stables Network here. So those are just my opinions. Those are just my thoughts, my views. It's been very difficult to kind of not have anything going on with no sports going on. There's just not much going on right now. So the draft should be coming up soon. That's going to be interesting how they're going to do it. So obviously, they're going to do it by some type of maybe some Facebook live feed they're going to do. No idea where they're going to do it. I feel bad for Las Vegas. I lived there for 5 years. They were looking forward to having the draft, and that got canceled. Their stadium may not even be ready at that time. Have you seen that stadium? It looks like the Death Star in Star Wars. It looks amazing. And I'm not even a Star Wars fan. It's just nice to see a stadium there. It's right next to the airport, which makes so much sense. So all the people are flying to Las Vegas and can see that big, beautiful stadium and say, hey, I'm going to a Las Vegas Raider game. That stadium may not be ready because, of course, the pandemic going on. And so there have been some alternatives of what's going to happen to the Raiders. They can't play in Oakland. That's done. The stadium may not be ready. Where are they going to play at? Are they going to play at, are they going to play where UNLV plays? Are they going to play at the Sam Boyd Stadium where the UNLV Running Rebels play? I mean, that to me would be the most logical place to play. We've all seen football teams playing college stadiums. Look at the Vikings. They played at the University of Minnesota for one season. I mean, it happened. So, I mean, to me, that would be the most logical place. But I've heard some really interesting places they might play. I've heard maybe they might play in Phoenix, which, okay, I mean, it's not far away, but I don't understand Phoenix. Then I've heard like Utah. There's been these rumors that the Raiders might play in Salt Lake City, Utah for one season while their stadium's getting built or getting finished being built because it's been delayed so much because of this pandemic. And can you imagine the Raiders in Salt Lake City? Wouldn't that be kind of weird? And I just don't think Salt Lake City can support it. I just don't think so. I mean, the Alliance had a team in Salt Lake City. They had the Stallions, and I love the Stallions, but man, they would have like 4,000 people at that game. Okay, and they play at the University of Utah, where the Utes play. I assume that's where they're going to put the Raiders if the Raiders are in Salt Lake City for one season while their stadium's being built. I just can't see it being successful. I mean, geographically, yeah, it makes sense because Utah just has basketball. But I just don't see the Salt Lake City Raiders, really. I mean, that'd be kind of weird. I just think the best alternative is to play at Sam Boyd Stadium for one season. I mean, it's not the greatest stadium. It's a college stadium, of course. But, I mean, that would make the most sense. It'd still be the Las Vegas Raiders, and to me, that would be the most logical place to play. Who knows if they're going to get that stadium finished on time. I mean, there might not be an NFL season. I mean, as long as this thing keeps dragging on, every time we think it's getting a little better, and then all of a sudden people get sick again, or people are dying, or there's it just keeps growing and growing. We don't know, So we might even have an NFL season. And Kurt Herbstreit of ESPN actually came out. He got into, I guess, a little hot water with his network. And he just said pretty much what everyone is probably thinking. And he said he'd be shocked to see a college season or an NFL season this year. And then, not too long after that, he kind of backtracked. He did the Michael Jackson moonwalk and said, well, what I meant to say. And, I feel bad for Kurt Herbstreit because I like Kurt Herbstreit. I agree with him 100%. I would be surprised, too, if there's an NFL season or a college season because this thing, we have no idea when it's going to end. And, they have practice. The players are going to be rusty because they're not doing combines or anything like that because they can't be away from it. They have to be away from each other. Coaches are not meeting. They're not meeting with players. They're just literally going to have to go onto the field and play, and that's not going to be good, without any combines or any type of practice going on. So it's going to be kind of weird seeing that. I don't know. So we'll see what happens, but he had to retract what he said, and I'm sure his bosses at ESPN didn't really like what he said, even though a lot of people are thinking that. But he just kind of said what I'm thinking or everyone else is thinking, and I hate to see no college football because I love college football. I watch college football or the NFL any time of the day. Never liked college football till I moved out here in North Carolina and started watching them. Man, I love college football. It's great. And I hate that not have it because, of course, it brings a lot of money. People love sports. I always think about all the people that work in the concession stands and pass out the programs and all that people don't think about. They just think about, oh, yeah, they make billions of dollars. They're not going to miss it. Well, what about the people that work there for a living? They're not going to be able to work. So it's just unfortunate. But I feel bad that he had to go back and retract it. I understand why ESPN wanted him to, because they're like, look, man, you can't say that because we're a sports network and we need our sports. And for one of our colleagues to say that is like, that's not cool. That's not good. And you're going to get people scared. So he kind of had to backtrack and really kind of just do the whole moonwalk thing. But it's just unfortunate that he had to apologize for that, because I agree with him. I would be very, very surprised to see an NFL or a college season this year due to this pandemic. It's just, even if it's gotten better with it, just having like 60, 70,000 people in a stadium, I'm telling you, you're going to have people, they're not going to go. They're not going to go. And they're going to, you can stream everything now. You can watch everything on the internet. People are not going to go. They're going to be like, you know what? They say it's safe. I don't know if it's safe. I'm not going to take my chances. I'm not going to get this thing. I'm not going to get sick. I'm not going to spread it to people. I'm kind of in the same boat too. If they open everything up and said tomorrow, hey, Rick, everything's good. We're having a baseball season. Here's some tickets to a Knights game. Go see the Charlotte Knights play. I'm not going to go. I know that for a fact, because but I'm looking at numbers and nothing's, it's not getting any better. It's not getting any worse, but it's not getting any better. So those are my comments, my opinions today. I can't believe that already time is running out. We got a couple of minutes left. So anyone have any questions about what I have to say? I'm sorry for the delayed broadcast. We had some technical difficulties, but you can always contact me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. My name is Rick Curti. I'm the host of Charlotte Bats Podcast and More. I'm here with Breck, one of the best guys putting this show together, Mark Mancini. He's like the Wizard of Oz, he just does everything. So thank you, Mark, for everything you do, and for everybody out there, part of the Stables Network. Thank you guys. You guys do a great show. And, thinking about what we're going to talk about next week. Kind of was always just going to talk about Fred McGriff not being in the Hall of Fame. Still, again, have any questions, or just let me know why you don't think you should be in the Hall of Fame. I'd love to hear from you. cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I love to hear people's opinions on why or why not Fred McGriff should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, to me, the man's numbers are there. He won a championship. He's just I've never heard any issues with him at all. I guess just being a real nice, quiet guy, I guess that's his punishment. That's really, really sad, that being a nice, quiet guy that never got into any trouble or any scandals or never wanted to be the center of attention is not in the Hall of Fame because of that. I guess you have to be, more vocal out there, but I mean, it shouldn't be his crime. And to me, if I was a commissioner, I just would try to get him in the Hall of Fame and to say, here, you should be in the Hall of Fame. So anyone have any questions, you can always contact me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. That's cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com. I'm Rick Curti. I'm your host of Charlotte Bats Podcast and More. You can tune into us every Monday at 6 p.m. East Coast time, or you can or 3 p.m. On the West Coast. So thanks to everybody out there. Hope everyone has a good night. Please, please stay safe. Please keep away from people. Please wash your hands. Please use some common sense, because unfortunately there are a lot of people not using any common sense and only thinking about themselves. So please, please, please use some common sense. Thank you, guys. See you next week.